this is the last of our series of 3 videos on the one. The first video we talked about is, can there numerically be more than one person for us, or is there only one? The second one was for those of us who were dating and trying to figure out, is this person that I'm with the one? And the last is for those of us who are going, I don't think that there's anyone. There feels like there's no one out there. And actually, I don't even care about finding the one. I just want someone, something. Hey, I've seen you on this roof before. You just come here to play with tar. And I think something that's been really hard for some of us as Christians is the encouragement that we've got in this, living in this space, where those really good, meaning people come alongside us and say, oh, you know, of course you're gonna get married. You're so pretty. I'm like, how's that theologically sound? Or, oh, you know, of course you're gonna get married. You just, you know, the Lord's got some work to do on you in your life first. That's why you're not married yet. Okay, I kind of get that. Like, yes, the Lord has work to do on my life, but then what with this 18-year-old girl that's getting married, is she somehow more spiritually arrived than I am? You know, the intention and the meaning behind those are somewhat true, but it kind of misses the point, because then over time we start feeling like those 18-year-olds have arrived and we haven't, or that somehow we're being disobedient. And I think we also miss that because we feel like if we get married, it's this God going, well done, Joy, well done, good and faithful servant. I will give you a spouse because you have done something right. No, well done, good and faithful servant is for heaven at the end of our life. If we place marriage as this pinnacle where God's telling us we've done something right, then we're going to stop wanting to grow. We're going to stop feeling like the Lord has work to do on us. We're going to have tons of work to do when we're married. Oh, no, not to, no! Walter, sit. Walter, hey. Walter. So I was looking in Hebrews 5, and it's talking about Jesus, and in verse 8 it says, through his suffering, he learned obedience, or he learned obedience through his suffering. It was like, whoa, okay, wait. He learned obedience through his suffering. Was Jesus disobedient? No, I don't think Jesus was, but he learned that there was something bigger going on. He learned these lessons through his suffering, and he learned obedience to the Father. And I think some of us, because of the things that we've been told, we fear, like, oh my goodness, like, since I'm not married and I'm getting older, like, maybe I'm really doing something wrong. Maybe I'm disobeying the Lord. Maybe I'm outside of his will. You know, maybe you are disobeying, but I think there's a lot of us that are being obedient, but there's some suffering going on. And you know, there's suffering. Christians suffer all over the world, and I would say for some of us, like, maybe we are going to be suffering in our singleness. I think God's plan is for most of us to be married. That's a design and that's a longing in us. But it may be a time, or it may be a long time, because of the broken state that we live in right now. Some of us just may suffer for a while. Verse 9 in Hebrews 5 goes on to say, and he became a source of eternal salvation through his obedience. He was perfected and became a source of eternal salvation. Can we be perfected? No. Will we be the source of eternal salvation? No, that was just for Jesus. But we can strive to become perfect, become like Jesus, so that we can be a source to others. And so in this time of learning and growing and obedience in our suffering, the Lord will use us. Because verse 10 goes on to say, and the Lord designated him. Jesus had a role. He knew he had to obey going to the cross and dying for us, because he was part of a bigger picture. We probably aren't going to be martyrs for our faith. We're probably not going to go to a cross. But do we believe that we're part of a bigger story? And do we believe that we will serve the Lord even in the midst of the things that we don't understand? Will we be obedient? And that's hard. I mean, that's hard to reconcile. I think sometimes subconsciously some of us are going, Lord, I want to serve you, but I would really like to have that kick in when I have a partner, because I'm really tired right now and I can't even barely take care of myself. How am I supposed to serve the world for you? And it's like, no, we need to move past that. It may not happen the way you want it to happen. And sometimes to reconcile these things in my own head or in the midst of my own pain, I come up with these little scenarios of like, Joy, what would you do if, and they're usually morbid, but one of the things that recently came to me was, you know, okay, Joy, what if the Lord was just going to use you for 2 years? Like, he really wanted to use you significantly for 2 years in your life. And I was like, okay. But what if those were from age 90 to 92? And I was like, well, that's surprising because I thought I was going to die young. But like, what if it was so far off that the Lord was going to use you? And I didn't even know that. Like, would I be willing to wait this long and be obedient in the day in and day out, be obedient 2011 when I'm 28 years old, to wait all for what the Lord had coming when I was in my 90s? Or would I be obedient in the midst of my pain and my suffering for things that I don't even understand, and I won't even understand until after I'm in heaven? Because I think that's what some of us may be called to do, that there's unhealthy relationships out there. The way men and women communicate, that's why I'm so passionate about having us figure this out, because it's dysfunctional. What if some of us are called into treating our brothers, our sisters, people we date, mothers, fathers, co-workers in a different way so that men and women communicate better, so that generations from now are impacted by that? What if we don't get the repercussions of that? Are we willing to obey God in the midst of that? So I know that's kind of like a downer to think about, but that's a perspective that I like to look through of, you know, I may suffer in my singleness for a small time or for a while, but in the midst of that pain, will I be perfected in my obedience to be more like Christ? So I hope that's encouraging to you, and yeah, I'm in it with you. That's all I can say.
On the next Ask Joy, Joy finally finds true joy.